Hello everybody, this is ManuS and welcome back to another Legends of Runeterra deck tech. Today I want to talk to you about the deck that got me to the top 50 or rather top 32 master. It's the Lucian Darius beatdown deck by Toberman MTG. I made a couple of small tweaks to it and we'll talk about the deck list as a whole and the parts that I'm not super sure about. I talked a bit with him on Twitter, as you may or may not have seen, about the deck, so we exchanged some ideas, and yeah, I was very surprised with how well the deck did and figured you guys want to get the full scoop after my post of me hitting rank 32. And yeah, since then I played one game and lost it and dropped to 63 and have been passed by 3 people since last night, but we'll see how high we can get in this deck tech. Hopefully we do a lot of winning and climb higher than even top 32. Anyway, let's look at the deck. First of all, the deck looks kind of innocuous and underwhelming. Like, I wasn't too impressed by the deck. I just wanted to try it because, like, it played nice cards and it was something different and it looked solid, but it looks very fair and not super fast either. So I didn't have particularly high hopes, but yeah, I was clearly wrong on that. Deck did pretty well. I'm currently 16-5 with it, with the one loss that I had after, and some of the losses were like against either matchups that I also beat or a deck that is not like very popular. Like 2 of my 5 losses were against a sort of Anivia Rekindler, like zombie Anivia deck, which seemed like a really bad matchup, but it's not like a popular or big deck. But yeah, that I just ran into 2 people that were messing around with that idea, and that just kind of completely destroyed me. The other loss was against like a bad version of the Hecarim Z deck, which was pretty unfortunate. And I lost to an Ezreal player, which I also beat another Ezreal deck, but the matchup is not that great. It's one of the harder matchups. And the 5th loss, I actually don't remember what that was. Anyway, let's talk about the deck. So about 35 cards of the deck I am pretty sure on, so is Toberman MTG, and the rest is something that is still like a bit in flux and optimization. So we have 9 1-drops, we have Citria, Fleet Feather Tracker, and Rearguard. Like, Fleet Feather Tracker and Rearguard are kind of obvious inclusions in those colors once you want 1-drops. Citria is the more surprising one. I initially was a bit skeptical, but yeah, Toberman told me that the one extra health was a lot more important in his experience than, say, the ability to deal an extra damage from Saboteur or Pet, which I thought could be possible given that this is like not a hyper aggressive deck. It's more of like a board curve beatdown deck, and their stats and like board presence matter more than other utility. Like, Fearsome doesn't matter that much in the end if they can just block another unit, and you're also not like trying to run the opponent over super fast, but you're more trying to like overwhelm the opponent with a strong board presence. And your unit being more sticky matters also for cards like Crowd Favorite. And so far I've been positively surprised. Like, Citria has been a lot better. It's also pretty relevant against PNZ decks, like especially controlling PNZ decks with Beam, where you want to be able to play a 1-drop that they can't kill right away, then hit them when you have the attack token right away, and force them to, like, if they have a Beam, to potentially only be able to like Beam for 3 mana on like your 1-drop on turn 2. Stuff like that. It just makes Beam a lot less flexible and also allows you to get in 2 or 3 damage, where otherwise they could just beam the unit if you have the attack token on odd. So yeah, Tracker is just good. Like, the challenge is really powerful with Protector, and Warchef's Challenger in general has been really strong in this deck to sort of protect your better units, deal with key annoying opposing units, or just pull away a big blocker so your overwhelm units can deal a lot of damage. And then we have the 2-drops, Protector, Lucian, and Warchefs. These 3 are just like staples in any Demacia proactive unit deck, aggressive and mid-range alike. Protector and War Chefs, especially Lucian, not always, because sometimes the champion slot is taken by other things, but if you have the champion slot, Lucian is a great addition. 2 cost, 3/2 quick attack is a really good 2-drop. It's really hard and annoying to block. It obviously has the high roll potential of just leveling up eventually. Less so in this deck because we're currently only playing one Senna, like 0 to 1, since Senna is a bit hit or miss. But even with the like 4 allies dying, this sometimes happens. And additional copies turn into Pursuit, which is also solid for a deck like this. So all in all, a really nice card for the deck. Then we have Laurent Protégé as the 3-drop of choice, which is also a bit surprising, and I probably wouldn't have chosen myself if I would have built a deck like this. But the card is really great. Like this deck really made me like and appreciate Protégé a lot more as an aggressive, like proactive unit. I thought of it more as a like mid-range sort of board control tool, a more reactive defensive tool, but oh boy, has the card impressed me. Like against Brittle Steel, it is immune thanks to the 2/4. It lines up really well against a lot of the like units in the game, being like 3/2s and 3/1s and 2/2s and stuff like that. Like for example, this card is so good against Ezreal, where normally they have these 3/1s that trade with all your stuff and are really annoying, and they blow out your combat with Brittle Steel, but with Protégé, you just Protégé, challenge the 3/1 or 3/2. They can't even like deny it with a tempo play with Brittle Steel. It kills it, and your other units can get through and so on. And obviously, it also plays really well with War Chefs, either healing it back up or making it a 3/5 to kill bigger stuff. So yeah, Protégé has been pretty amazing, and it usually can challenge at least like 2 times in a game because of its high health. Then we have one Senna, which is still a bit debatable, but having more than 3 drops is pretty decent. The deck still often has like 2-drop plus another 1-drop on 3, but not always, and 3 drops can be a bit light. And Senna is one of the better options. Like if we look here, the other options would be something like Sentry, which I feel like is a bit hit or miss and not as like flexible, because on offense it can be nice, but I don't know, like the way the deck played, I wasn't that big of a fan of Sentry. Topperman wanted to try this, and it could be an okay alternative to Senna. Senna just hits a bit harder and is pretty annoying on offense and gives us the nice like high roll options of like Lucian into Senna, making it awkward for the opponent. Trifarian is a bit awkward probably because the ability not being able to block is a bit too big of a downside when we're not super fast against other aggressive decks. And Sergeant is technically pretty nice, but it's a bit underwhelming as a body. And the spell actually doesn't matter as much because the deck already has so many pump spells. And Redeemer is just awkward because if you just play it without it being active, like if you have a tech token on 3 and that's your only 3-drop, it's pretty awkward. Then we have 3 Crowd Favorite. This card is still one of the best Noxus aggressive units. Super powerful. This deck isn't quite as good at making it work as, say, Spiders for obvious reasons, but it has played pretty well in the deck still, and sometimes it might be worth it to play a bit more conservative to make sure your favorite is big rather than trade off a lot of units. Then we have one Blade Keeper. Superman was initially running Legion Veteran. Not super impressed by this, but it is a solid card. Other alternatives include something like Chevalier or Vanguard. I tried Vanguard a bit, and it's obviously nice because it's 2 bodies for favorite and it's more challenge effects. The problem is it's also like pretty small units and fragile and plays a lot into like avalanches and Withering Veils, so I ultimately decided that I probably like Blade Keeper better, and Blade Keeper should be a bit better than Veteran. It just curves really well with the early drops, like making Lucian bigger or just making the Challenger bigger and deal with more stuff is nice. So yeah, I probably like this for now, but I don't know. there's still a chance I just go back to like Veteran or something like that. There are no real other options. The deck is a bit too spread for like trying to Allegiance High Roll Bannerman every time you play it, and whiff, it's super bad. Stuff like that. And yeah, like First Blade seems like mostly a worse Veteran. So yeah, it's probably for now either the Blade Keeper or going back to Veteran, if I had to guess. Chevalier is technically nice, but once again, giving these control decks more opportunities to catch back up and or fight open attacks is problematic, so I'm trying to avoid that. Then we have to Kato the Arm. I'm not 100% sure this is ideal, but he has been pretty solid so far. The best alternative, I think, would be Swiftwing Lancer, which is a more powerful unit, but less aggressive. Like, this adds basically 8+ damage to the board, while this adds like 5, but it's another challenger, which is still pretty strong. But yeah, the overall buff on something like a Lucian or something that they, or like a Senna, that they would otherwise jump block to, because they can't really trade block it, but they also don't want to take damage from it, can be really annoying. And yeah, so far he has been pretty solid. The 3 health can be a bit problematic though. So if Kato doesn't pan out, there's always Lancer to transition to. And then we have 3 Darius as top end, which plays surprisingly well in the deck, and the deck sometimes even like gets in with one, they handle it, then you drop a second, and the second one gets them, because unlike with, say, Spiders, for example, you have more staying power and aren't falling apart as easy or as fast after the like Darius turn. So Darius matters a little longer and a little more in this deck, in my experience. And then we have the spells. I'm currently trying one Radiant Strike over the 3rd back-to-back, since 3 back-to-back and 3 Repost has been a bit clunky and a bit much, but I'm not 100% sure. Like, back-to-back is still very good, and I will keep an eye out if I draw it less than I would like, and might go back to 3. And 3 Brothers Bond, just very efficient. 3 Repost and 2 back-to-back. Repost is a bit clunky and not the most efficient, and I wasn't super happy with it initially, but it's like kind of a necessary evil. It helps you counter like damage-based removal and gives you a good way to deal with lifesteal, which the deck otherwise doesn't have and can be really annoying. Back-to-back still a really powerful card, and just like Harsh Winds at 6, back-to-back at 6 is still a really strong card. And it might be wrong to run 2. I'm not 100% sure. I'm trying 2 for now, because I had a bunch of clunky trick heavy draws where Radiant Strike is just like a nice cheap thing that can tempo swing something more expensive, like a Mystic Shot on a Lucian or stuff like that, deal extra damage, keep something alive, stuff like that. Yeah, Brothers Bond, just very efficient. And yeah, basically all these tricks allow the deck a lot to like open attack on critical turns and have really nice ways to use the mana to impact the combat regardless. And that's how the deck won a lot, even against like controlling decks. Like against the Karma decks I faced, for example, a lot of the time you could get into a situation where it's hard for them to save mana for an early ruination, and then often the turn they finally could ruinate, you can go for like a final attack with like back-to-back or something open and make sure you often win through like removal and life gain stuff in pretty impressive fashion. Toberman is still currently running 1 Pursuit. I haven't been too impressed with Pursuit, and the card plays a bit weird in the deck, given that everything is kind of expensive and the deck is a bit clunky, and you also can't go super late, so there aren't that many good spots where you have a good Pursuit. But yeah, basically currently I like this list, and I'm a bit unsure about the Radiant Strike versus the 3rd back-to-back, and we'll test that some more, so keep that in mind. Yeah, and this is the current list. Deck is surprisingly good, really impressed by how well the deck plays. despite it looking so like underwhelming and fair. And yeah, it just really slaps people around. And now it's time to go back to ladder, see if we can climb deeper into the top 100 and slap some more people with it, show you how to pilot it and how it performs. Alright, so you know the drill. If you're new to the channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below, turn on the notification icon, leave a like, leave a comment, share it with your friends. And of course, if you want to help us content creators here on YouTube, make sure your ad block is turned off or you have YouTube whitelisted on your ad block. That's already a great and free way to help support your favorite content creators. Alright, so I'll see you in a moment with game number 1. Stay tuned.